and welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We are delighted to welcome in the studio two folks from the International Institute of Akron. We've got Liz Walters and Bishnu Sunar. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So International Institute of Akron might be new to some of our listeners. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure, and we may be new to your listeners, but we're not new to the community. The International Institute of Akron is actually a little over 100 years old. Our mission is to help welcome the foreign-born to Akron and help them make our community their home and their community. So we do that through 5 parts of service. The first is a refugee resettlement operation. So we work with the U.S. Department of State to resettle refugees in Akron. We run a full-time education department that teaches English as a second language free to all levels for anyone that comes in, whether they are our refugee client or an immigrant that comes to the community. We have an employment department, which is where Bishnu works, that serves our refugees in finding employment. We also work directly with employers in helping fulfill their workforce needs. And we have a legal services department. So it's the Northeast Ohio's only low-cost or pro bono full-time immigration legal clinic. We employ 3 full-time attorneys who help people become citizens of the United States, among other things. And then we also have an interpreting and translation department. So on any given day, you can have a document translated or have a live interpreter in up to 82 languages at your door or in your hands within a matter of hours.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
You've been in business for 100 years.
We have. We started as a project of the YWCA in 1916. We were founded to help welcome single young women who were coming over from Europe at the beginning of World War I, find work and find housing so they could earn a living and send money home to their families.
Liz, what interested you in becoming involved with this?
That's a great question. So 2 things, which is I grew up in the area, grew up in Akron, and had traveled for work, traveled around. I lived in D.C., I lived in Columbus, I lived in Cleveland, and had really intentionally moved home to Akron and really wanted to find a position that allowed me to serve my community. And the executive director at the Institute is actually a former grad school professor of mine. So we connected over coffee, and she had an opening, and I knew about the Institute, knew the work they did, and was so excited to have the opportunity. And I was excited because I grew up in a household with my grandparents, and my grandfather was really an avid family historian, as was my grandmother. So they did our genealogy back decades to all the countries that we came from. And actually, my grandfather had my great-great-grandfather's citizenship papers framed and hanging on the dining room wall in the house I grew up in. So he always made it a point to constantly remind us that we were very lucky to have been born in America because we weren't that far removed from people who escaped famine and war to move here to be coal miners and take on other hard labor jobs to provide a better future for their children. So that was really instilled in me from a young age.
It's an amazing place. It's an amazing country as it is, and the history that we all bring from coming from somewhere else is just quite a cool concept, isn't it? And Bishnu, you're how new to being a citizen of the United States?
I have to say, in the year 2014, I just came to U.S. Now I'm just hoping that the very day, waiting for the day to be a citizen, and I'm really excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going through that process?
I think 1 more year I have to wait.
Yeah.
Then after, I'm just trying for that. So hopefully I'll be citizen.
One of the most amazing experiences I think and one of the most emotional I think I've ever experienced was seeing the ceremony that takes place when people are becoming U.S. citizens.
Exactly.
And I'm excited for you.
Exactly.
It's an amazing
because
thing.
for so long, so many years, it's been more going to be 27, 28 years. For myself, I spent 23 years in the camp as a refugee, man without identity, without let's say a home, without any name, any fame, and coming to U.S., this beautiful place, beautiful people. And whenever the day comes to take to be a citizen, we have a kind of identity like now I'm the citizen of U.S. So that really makes everybody feel emotional. Like we have no identity from particular point. Now I belong to U.S. So that's really emotional and really happiest moment for me. That's what I'm waiting.
Let's tell your story, because just to hear somebody say, I don't have an identity. Yes, you do. You are
Exactly.
Bishnu Sunar,
Yeah.
and we are
But,
happy to have you
yeah.
here. But tell us what brought you here.
Exactly.
And where are you from?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I have to say, I'm from Bhutan. I still remember the year, it was 1990, and due to some kind of issue, like government of Bhutan, they introduced a policy called One People, One Nation, and they wanted one people residing in southern part of the Bhutan, and they wanted only one language, that is Dzongkha. And we were like Nepalese-speaking Bhutanese people residing in southern part of the Bhutan. And we had our own language, we had our own dress, we had our own culture. And government of Bhutan, they didn't let us to do that. And after 1990, they started, asking people to leave the country. Some people, in some of the places, they were asked to leave the country by force. To talk about my family, I was asked to leave the country Bhutan within an hour, if you believe it or not.
No. Let me stop you right there. What on earth does that look like? Someone knocked on your door and said, not just you must leave your home, but you must leave your country within
exactly.
the hour.
Within an hour. That's what I'm talking about, my family. That's what so happened. It was not, they didn't even knock the door. It was Sunday. Sunday means usually in the Bhutan, we used to have an open market system where people, they bring their goods and have a barter system. They sell on the street. And my father owned a electrical shop, and I was so small. And during that busy market day, some representative from, from the authority, from administration, they came along with army police force, and they just said, you have to leave the country within 1 hour. After 1 hour, we're going to come and padlock your house. So there was no any question why. Like, we were not
Well, that
allowed
was
to
my
ask
next
the
question.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
us? Yes.
They
Why us? Why now?
Yeah. Like, we are not allowed to even ask a question why. There was no why question, no how, what questions. And after 1 hour, they just came and padlocked. And hardly we could take some stuff, And we had no dream where to go.
You
it
were
was
how
totally
old
dark.
at this
it
time?
was during that time I was just 9 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
And
How frightened were you as a
yeah,
9-year-old child?
whenever we see some kind of armed police force with a gun, that really kind of scares all the kids. And I was speechless, I was tongue-tied, and I was a bit nervous also, because I didn't dare to speak louder, because when I saw the scenario, administrative, some government administrative with armed police force. And my father, he just gathered all, and we had we were actually not we had no any vision where to go,
I'm not good at packing to go on vacation in an hour. So how did you pack up a
we didn't
home?
have even
and
we didn't have a chance to take out everything. We were nervous. By the time they came and said, hey, you have to leave the country within 1 hour, 1 hour we'll come and padlock your shop, your whatever it may be.
What did you have with you?
Just clothes, whatever we had.
Clothes on
And
your
our father, he grabbed some of the documentations, and the shops was open. We had electronic shop, television, radio, whatever, and all the stops were inside the house. After 1 hour, within that 1 hour we spent, because father, whenever he said to me and my mom started screaming, what's this? Because we are born here, my father, everybody born here, and where are they asking? We didn't dare to ask the administrative authority. They didn't let us to ask also. So
looking back, do you know why now at this side of it?
I think yeah. Though I was very small, like in southern part of the Bhutan, most of the people were Nepali speaking people, and we're having our own language, we're having our own dress, we're having our own language in the curriculum also. Then after they introduced the policy, after they tried to implement the policy, One People, One Nation, they didn't let us our language, our dress, our cultural dress, and even they just removed our Nepali textbook from the curriculum of education. And that made us all upset, we should have the freedom to at least speak our language, to have our own cultural ceremony, this and that.
But how many insidious things start out sounding so good like one people, one nation. That just sounds so inclusive and everybody all together now. But when you see what was underlying it, it was something far different, wasn't it?
Yeah, under the one people of one nation, there were diversity, people from different ethnicity, they have their own culture. But whenever they say one people, one nation, that they prioritize only one language, that was Dzongkha, which I was not used to. Even my parents, they were not used to.
Yes.
And that really compelled us to leave all our culture, all our language, everything else. And that is made really upset. And that was the only kind of, let's say, issue to make the people, leave the country by force, or they were asked to sign the voluntary migration form just to have a fake impression toward the outside country. People from my country are living voluntarily just to have that kind of impression. People were even asked to sign the voluntary migration form. That was by force.
Wow. So not voluntary at all.
Yeah, there was no voluntary because we were born in there and we just wanted to be there. The only thing was that one people, one nation, and they were trying to suppress all Nepali people. They do not want anything else from our side. They want only their culture, only their language, only whatever they implement. So that really made upset.
Well, their loss is our gain. How did you come to the United States?
Okay, and after 1990, we just left the country Bhutan and we went to Nepal. And in Nepal, I was there for 23 years, and life was not easy as we thought in Nepal. From social aspect, from all the aspect, it's really worst condition. Like we didn't have even enough food to eat. We're not allowed to come out from the camp to go legally work outside, and hardly I just completed my bachelor degree. I would say it was really tough for me to come out from the camp, teach in a small school, primary level school, earn some money, spend that money to a college, one hand, and teaching in one side. Like morning time, I used to go to the school teaching. Evening, I used to spend a time on reading my texts. I did corresponding.
So you were teaching part of the day and learning the other part of the day.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. In that way, we just finished. And after 23 years, there just came a durable solution. Either third country resettlement, repatriation, or integration to the local country, that's Nepal. And we just choose durable solution because after staying for 23 years in Nepal, we didn't have a hope to go back because there had been a lot of trilateral talk among the government of Bhutan, Nepal, and India, but that leads in without any decision. And because of that, we just choose. Yeah, third country resettlement would be really wonderful. We're going to have a vision. We're going to have something bright, like something positive aspect in our life, thinking that we just choose that third country resettlement. And it is not easy to come to United States because one has to go through a lot of screening, like health screening.
I think there's a lot of people who, this is one of these points where we do need to clarify.
Sure.
There is quite a bit of screening, you say, that happens.
It's really tough.
Really hard to get in.
It's gotten even tougher since Bishnu came through a few years ago.
What's the process?
There's 15 steps currently, and that takes 2 years.
Exactly.
And it starts with an application process, so documenting who you are, any government documentation you have, so you have to verify your identity, no falsification of records, right? They go through a very long process. There's multiple health screenings. There's multiple in-person interviews to verify that everyone has the same story about their background multiple times with different interviewers. And then there's up to 6, usually 7, national security screenings. So any federal agency that has anything to do with our national security reviews each individual refugee before they're cleared for resettlement. So NSA, the FBI, CIA, our European partners through Interpol and other national organizations share intel. We do fingerprinting and other biometric screenings like eye scans to double check international databases. And then that's up to about step 13. And then the last 2 steps are they have to complete a lengthy in-country orientation to understand what they're coming to in the United States.
Yes.
And then their final step is to be, they go through a screening process with the Department of State and then the on-the-ground partners like IIA or our federal national partner, where they kind of get sorted out to really think through what community can this person be placed in. Do they have family ties? If they have some extenuating circumstances like a medical condition, are we putting them in a community where we think they'll be able to succeed? So that's the final step.
How did you land in Akron, Ohio? How did you pick that one?
Yeah. It was, I think, 3 a.m., like the flight, because of delay in the flight, like the time, and I just came to North Canton airport, and there were my family members, because my uncle relative, they were already in the Akron, and before coming to US, I just had a long discussion with my family member. Where shall we go now? Which states? And in that cases, I just had a long conversation with all of my family members, and majority of my uncle relative, they are here in the Akron, and I just asked about the job, about the places, and what they said. Yeah, it is really cool. If you come over here, it's really, we can easily adjust regarding environment, employment-wise. People are they're cool. And I just choose Akron. And when I landed the North Canton, I just saw my family, and I also saw my case manager, really welcoming, and that the first step in the U.S. really made me pleasure, with full of excitement, a lot of hope, inspiration, because I saw my family and even my case manager welcoming me. It was really awesome.
And Bishnu's story really highlights how in refugee resettlement you end up with really dense populations of certain ethnic communities and cities, because, as he mentioned, part of the process that refugees go through is they declare any family ties they have in the United States. And so when Bishnu went through his process, he informed them, I have family in Akron. It's a big deciding factor for why folks get sent where they do. The first goal of U.S. refugee resettlement is family reunification wherever possible. So you end up seeing pockets of ethnic communities because they, one or two or three people come, and then it's like a snowflake effect. So, for example, in Columbus is the third largest Somali population outside Somalia. I think Akron, we're like number 5. We're probably like number 5 in the country for a Bhutanese community.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So interesting. We're going to need to take a short break. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.